Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. So as you can probably tell from the title of this video, I have some news to share. I'm pregnant. It's still kind of a surreal feeling, and we're super excited and ready to grow a little bean and bring a little human into this world. So it's kind of a crazy feeling, and I just had my first appointment and ultrasound, so I got to see the little guy, and I don't know what to say. What do you say about growing a human inside your belly? As you can probably tell, well, actually I probably look pregnant in this giant hoodie, but I'm not terribly far along or anything like that. I have a little bump right here, but nothing too crazy as of now. As you can probably tell, I don't have a ton of a belly right now. I'm not like huge or anything like that. And we'll go into the details of everything here in just a second. We're gonna jump into your Q&A questions that you asked on Instagram, and I collected all of your amazing, amazing questions. So thank you so much for submitting those. And yeah, I guess nothing to it but to do it. Let's get into the Q&A videos so we can talk about my very first pregnancy. So you guys asked some really good questions, and if there's anything that I feel like is maybe like important to share or relevant to the channel in terms of like nutrition and fitness that we don't cover here, then we'll cover them at the end. All right, so my friend Ashley says, how are you doing? Like, for real. Thank you for asking, Ashley. I think honestly, I'm doing a lot better than I was a couple of weeks ago. The past couple of months have been like a whirlwind because first, I think I was really tired, like extremely tired all the time and barely able to function. And I didn't really know why, like at the time. So that was kind of hard to deal with. And I was like, oh my gosh, am I like not motivated for YouTube anymore? Or am I not motivated for my career anymore? And it was really just that I was completely zombied out. I like could not function, and I just needed to give myself that time to rest. And I was like spent most of the time being like super hard on myself and then napping in between. So it probably was not a good combination mentally and physically. But now I feel like I'm doing a lot better. I've had several interviews in the last week or so, you know, that's been giving me some hope for having a little more stability. I've also had a lot better energy, and my nausea has been a little bit less in the past couple of, I would say in the past couple of days, it's really starting to get better. So I have a lot more energy. I tried filming a couple of days ago, and it just kind of like wasn't me at my full energy. So, you know, here we are filming again. So I'd say overall I'm doing really well, just trying to take care of myself physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and also trying to get some stability from a job, and just, you know, promoting things like the Mindful Muscles Academy, making sure my programs are up to par and improving my Mindful Muscles Academy program. I'm thinking of making another nutrition course as well as another revenue stream and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of like in the mode of brainstorming how I can feel as stable and as centered as possible. Got to do some root chakra meditations, but overall, pretty good. This one is from Stephanie. She says, how did you tell Glenn? Probs too personal, but oh my God, I love when dads find out. That's so cute, Stephanie. So we didn't have like the most exciting like announcement, because for some reason Glenn just knows my cycle way too well. And I also talk about my cycle a lot, so I'm very open like with when I'm expecting my period and stuff like that. So I feel like with my openness and combined with his observation, we were both very aware that I was late for my period. So essentially we both found out together. Nothing too terribly exciting. It took me actually a while to take my pregnancy test because I was kind of nervous, and Glenn kept saying like, oh, you're pregnant, there's no doubt about it. And I was like, well, you know, it's not true until it's true, right? So I need that like test to tell me one way or another. And my friend Mandy finally encouraged me to get a test, and then we found out together as I peed in a cup and came out of the bathroom kind of like in tears of joy. And Stephanie had a second question too, so I'll answer that back to back. She says, what are you and Glenn looking forward to the most? I would say, I think that we're looking forward to helping a little human grow into its best possible self. I know that sounds like super cheesy maybe and weird maybe, but I think we're both just very, this is gonna sound really weird, but you asked, so I'm gonna answer it. I feel like we're both very deep and insightful people, and in meaning that we both like to look inward, and we both are really deep thinking in terms of like life, philosophy, intellectual stuff, learning, and being our best selves, like always self-improving. And I don't want to speak for Glenn, but we've of course had these conversations before. I think I personally will speak for myself that I'm excited to be able to pass on all of the things that I know and be able to just shape their little mind and hopefully do it for the positive and not for the negative. I'm sure I'll pass down some negative stuff like my anxiety too, but just help them be confident, help them be smart and aware in maybe places that took me a long time to be smart and aware with as a kid, help them, you know, go through life feeling equipped and feeling ready so they can do whatever brings them joy in life. I think that's the number one thing that comes to mind for me. Part of me, you know, gets terrified of like, okay, am I going to do something wrong? How am I going to act or be as a mom? How are we going to be as parents? But I think overall, I have this gut feeling that like everything's going to be fine and that I'm just excited for the experience of what it's like to actually be a parent beyond a cat mom and a dog mom. Next question is due date and gender. So we don't know the gender just yet, but I did take a genetic test that can also show you what the baby's gender is. So we're gonna find out very soon, but I don't know just yet. Glenn thinks boy. I'm kind of 50-50. I haven't really decided, but I have a lot of friends that think that this little bean is going to be a boy. So that's the majority vote. I still have a tiny feeling like it might be a girl, but we'll see. I have way too many girl names and not enough guy names. Guy names are so freaking hard, but we'll figure it out. Due date is August 26th. That is 6 days after I almost said my period. 6 days after my birthday. Mine is August 20th, so gonna have a little Virgo baby if he or she comes on time. But yeah, that is the due date. I'm 13 weeks and some change. I think 13 weeks and 5 days along, so decently far along at this point, almost done with the first trimester. Next is any cravings yet from Erica. So that's a good question. I was kind of like waiting on this too. As a dietitian, I'm like, what weird cravings am I gonna have? But right now I would say that I haven't had any like weird, like bad, like odd cravings or anything like that. Like I think Glenn told me his mom craved ice cream and pickles or something one time, and I was like, I don't see myself craving that, but who knows? Hormones are a weird, hairy beast, so it's very possible that I could be finding myself in the exact same position as her. But so far, I would say that it kind of depends on the moment. So I'll have like really sudden urges for something specific. So for example, a crispy chicken sandwich from Wendy's with pickles. Like, your girl has needed that more times than I can count on my hand in the first trimester. Or like chicken nuggets, like crispy chicken, especially if there's pickles involved, has just been like, I don't know how to make the clam hands, but it's been exactly what I've been wanting. I would also say just like overall sweets and stuff like that has been a high craving of mine, like a cookie or a brownie or something like a really chewy, specifically a chewy cookie or brownie, like Jimmy John's, for example. You'll notice a theme here. I've been craving a lot of fast food for better or worse lately. I think it's just like kind of the convenience and also like how it feels on my stomach. But alas, I've been trying to make the healthiest-ish options when I go out to eat and not go crazy, but nonetheless, I'm pregnant, so who cares? And their red velvet cookie, can't get enough. I've had that a couple times as a craving. And then what else? I'll keep you updated with my cravings as I go along because they may change, and they probably will change. But I would say in the first trimester, the biggest thing beyond cravings was food aversions. So I really, like, even foods that I normally would like we had this HelloFresh mac and cheese recipe that's like Southwest mac and cheese that has all sorts of stuff in it. It's not just like your regular traditional mac and cheese. It has a little kick to it and has poblano peppers and stuff like that. Normally, I'm a big fan of it, and it's something that we have quite a bit in this house, or like at least somewhat regularly. And I cannot like bear to smell it at all, and I can barely eat it. And also anything like meat related, like taco meat, beef, I can eat it, but smelling it is just makes me want to hurl. So a lot of food aversions or just smell aversions and things that like immediately turn me off and make me not want to eat anything, but nothing strange in terms of cravings yet. But maybe very compelled towards certain foods when I like get the thought in my head. Tap into Magic says, not a question, but congrats. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I've been meaning to try some of your tapping routines and exercises because I don't know, I've just been really trying to get into my spirituality a little bit more and just try to get into some calming meditations and techniques a lot more frequently than I've been having. So I will head on over to your YouTube channel very soon to practice. And Brianna says, how are you dealing with body changes? That's a really good question, Brianna. So if you're not too familiar with the channel or myself, or you're maybe new here, I am a registered dietitian and I have a past history of disordered eating and body dysmorphia, and I would say also exercise addiction at one point. I definitely do have concerns about how I will emotionally respond to body changes as I start to get further along. So far, so good. My body really hasn't changed too much, except for maybe a little bit more like, I would say more puffiness. I use my ice roller a ton. It's like $7 on Amazon. It's amazing and it's perfect for depuffing and stuff like that. But I only have a little tiny baby belly right now, so I haven't had too much of a shift, but that is something that I'm definitely keeping at the forefront of my mind of like, okay, when this starts to happen, it's okay. The body is meant to go through these changes. You are designed to handle this, and not that there's any pressure to snap back to your weight immediately right after pregnancy, but I know my body well and I know that I take care of my body, so I'm trying my best to trust the natural flux and flow of my body changing. Another thing to point out too that I think is really important for other women who are pregnant is that I disclosed this history with my doctor and she gave suggestions based on this history. So she is wonderful. I'm already really excited to be working with her throughout my pregnancy. But I mentioned my whole past history, which is essentially just my eating disorder, as I mentioned, and you know, massive amounts of anxiety, I would say chronic anxiety for as long as I can remember. And she was just really encouraging in that if I started to notice that my mood was changing too drastically, or that, you know, things were impacting me more than usual, not to be afraid to get on anxiety medication. And then with that, with body image and weight and stuff like that, if I needed to step on the scale and like look away from what the number was, then I could absolutely do that. So I was really appreciative that she took into consideration my past history and wanted to avoid triggering those emotions as much as possible. I really highly encourage you, if you were pregnant or plan to be pregnant in the future, to do the same, and to also just get a practitioner that actually cares, because I think that matters a lot. I think some might just brush you off and not really care that much, but I was really, really proud of how my doctor handled that. As a dietitian who focuses on food freedom, I was like, oh, yes. I was like, thank you so much for like taking what I said and actually like taking it to heart and finding a way to troubleshoot and problem solve and not just leave me hanging. The next question is from Angie, and she says, how far along are you? How are you feeling? How are your cravings so far? So excited for you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So I am 13 weeks and 5 days, as I mentioned earlier, feeling overall pretty good. It is a flux and flow, and I do have some moments where I'm like really low in energy and not feeling that well, but overall I'm noticing that I'm kind of coming to this valley after the peak of nausea and tiredness, and I'm starting to feel way better. My friend Lauren says, what made you first think I might be pregnant? I'm guessing that it came from an irregular period. It likely won't be obvious for me like it will for others, so it might be silly. No, it's not a silly question at all. That's a really good question because I actually have had kind of a history of sort of an irregular period. Like for a while, my period has been pretty regular, but when I came off birth control for the first time, I had no period for a while, and then I had periods that were 60 days long, 70 days long, crazy, crazy long, and so I'm not unfamiliar with having a weird, wonky cycle. And ironically, the month prior, I had like a 40-ish day cycle. I think it was like 40, 43 days or something like that. And so I thought like initially when I was late for my period, I was like, oh, like it's just my period being out of whack again. Nothing new, nothing strange here. It's nothing. And backtracking a little bit, I have Maya in my lap if you can see her little tail. Backtracking a little bit, I was supposed to get my period on Christmas Day actually. So I was like, yay, Merry Christmas to me. Like I get my period, so exciting. And my parents were visiting as well. So I was just kind of like, ugh, of course it's gonna ruin vacation and I'm gonna feel miserable for a full day and have really bad cramps because I have a history of pretty like intense cramping and just uncomfortable first day or two of my period. It's just how blessed I am. So I was kind of like nervously anticipating that because again, I wasn't on vacation per se, but I was technically because my parents were there. So I was like, okay, please just hold off for a couple more days until my parents are gone so I can just like be miserable and not have to make everyone else's day get drugged down because I'm so uncomfortable. And I waited and I waited and I was like, okay, you can come anytime now, period. Like, where are you? And then like a couple weeks, I think a week went by and I was like, this is fine. And then 2 weeks went by and I was like, this is weird, but it's not like it's never happened before. So I'm still probably not pregnant. And then I think it was like the third week where I was like, okay, this is getting a little bit weird. And then I got to this point where I was starting to feel really unmotivated for everything, like getting up in the morning. Like I was tired as all get out. I was just not feeling myself really. I had to take naps in the middle of the day, even though I slept for like 8 to 10 hours some days. And I was just like, something just doesn't feel right. Like, am I just like way more clinically depressed than normal or something like that? It was just a weird combination. I didn't feel depressed, I just didn't feel motivated and I felt really tired. Then I started to feel tired and nauseous and I was like, this is weird. Like, how often do I just feel nauseous like out of nowhere? Unless I'm sick or unless something's happening, like maybe I'm like in the car and just we're driving around the mountains and it's just kind of getting to me a little bit. I never feel nauseous. So that was weird, but I was still not convinced fully because I hadn't taken a test yet. And then I think the final straw was within the same week or so of all of these symptoms, I noticed like when I went to go change into my sports bra that like my boobs were just way bigger. Like TMI, I'm sorry to any of the men that are watching this channel, but I just felt like I went up like 2 sizes in like a week. And that was probably the moment where I was like, this is not just a missing period. This is way too many things all coming together. And then, you know, I went to Walmart and got a test and officially finally did the thing. And I had a big old X that symbolized pregnancy. So that was kind of like the story to figuring it out and kind of the symptoms that led up to it. It was like one thing and I was not that worried, but then all the things combined just made me like, okay, I think I am. The next question is from Shay, and she says, what have you focused on with your nutrition? So that's a really great question, Shay. I would say for me, the biggest thing right now is just trying to focus on having regular, consistent meals that are also nutrient dense. And I try to focus on that when I'm feeling my best, because sometimes when I'm not feeling good or I'm feeling nauseous, I really can't control a ton about my nutrition. So like if I'm nauseous, I'm probably just gonna have some saltines or have a hard candy or something like that to try to make those symptoms go away until I can have a normal meal again. But yeah, I think just trying to eat as nutrient dense as possible and keeping my blood sugar steady throughout the day is really important. So proteins, carbs, and fats at meals, and then always pairing those carbs with a protein or a fat at snacks. And then what else? I'd also say something that I've held to a pretty high importance lately is getting enough fiber in my diet. So typically I don't have a problem with this, but with the nausea and stuff like that, it has been more of a challenge to have foods that are higher in fiber, like, you know, just things that fill you up more. For some reason, it's just like when you're nauseous, having the most balanced nutrient-dense foods is not really at the top of your mind. So basically every single breakfast I've been having oatmeal, and that's very high in fiber. For those of you who may not know, and I just learned this myself when you first get pregnant, and I think throughout the pregnancy too, you can definitely deal with a lot of constipation because of the heightened progesterone. I believe the doctor said that was the root cause. So that would be why fiber is extra important, even though it's harder to consume. So every morning I've been starting off with oatmeal, which is really high in fiber, and it's a really good way to get the bowels moving if you have any struggles with that. I'll also supplement with some flaxseed, whether it's in a smoothie or yogurt or oatmeal in my morning oatmeal. And then the Dave's Killer Bread, the whole grain, I can't remember which one it is, but it's the green one or the good seed one. Those are both really high in fiber. I think they're like 5 grams per slice of bread. So that's been really helping me get in my fiber intake, and just any fruits and vegetables that I can get in when I'm feeling good has been helping me do that. Right now, I'm gonna take it how it comes and just try to focus on a couple small nutrition goals for now, but fiber and just overall eating as nutrient dense as possible and as regularly as possible is super important. And small frequent meals, because it's been really, really tough to eat anything in a large quantity, because it often is like I feel like my stomach's already really full really quickly. The next one is from Allison, and I'm laughing so hard. She says, have your nails been affected by the hormone changes? Laughy face. So it may not be public knowledge to all of you, but for any of you who maybe follow me on Instagram or anything like that, I am a big nail nerd. I love painting my nails at home, and my nails are all natural. So, you know, imperfectly perfect. You can see that I recently broke both of my index fingers actually, but I feel like my nails are getting too long to where I didn't want to cut all of them down, because I was like, you know what, they can catch up. They can catch up. I use my pointer fingers too much anyway. It's fine to have them a little bit shorter. But anyway, nonetheless, if you're interested in some of my nail art and just seeing what I do in the nail community, I do have a nail art Instagram page. It's dietitian.nails on Instagram. So follow me if you aren't already. That is my passion away from my main passion, which is nutrition. So I'm a big fan of Simply Nailogical here on YouTube and her brand Holo Taco. Obsessed, have every single collection that she's ever brought out, except maybe this next one because unfortunately I'm running out of money, but that's okay. But to answer your question, Allison, my nails have not really changed. I haven't noticed any big difference in how they feel or like being more fragile or anything like that with hormonal shifts, but that is a good question. I'm sure my prenatal is helping with that a little bit, I would have to imagine. I will say that I have noticed changes in my hair, like my hair texture just feels a little more straw-like than normal, and I'm not used to having like dry textured hair. If you have any hair mask recommendations, leave them in the comment section below because I definitely need to get one when I go to the store next, because it just feels like my hair ain't getting what it used to. That probably, again, is related to the hormonal shifts, but I haven't noticed anything else, like any big skin changes or anything like that yet. But I will keep you posted in trimester 2 and 3 if you would like to let you know kind of, how I'm feeling and any different symptoms and changes that I've been experiencing. And the last question that I want to address is, how has your exercise changed during pregnancy? To be honest, my exercise has kind of been haphazard in the first trimester. I'm trying to kind of take advantage of when I have energy and exercise then, and also doing a lot of walking outside, which in Colorado, walking is kind of a big task because we have a lot of hills and stuff like that. So it's high elevation hill walking, okay? So it's not just any mild walking. So usually I would say I get about 2 or 3 structured workouts in lately because of my nausea and my exhaustion and stuff like that. And then at least 3 to 5 days of a half an hour walk. So it's not as much as I'm used to. Usually I like to have 4 to 5 structured workouts and then have some aerobic activity like walking and other stuff in between that. But I'm trying to be gentle with myself in my routine because I know that it takes so much energy in the first trimester alone to just start creating a human being. So I'm trying to be gentle. I heard that in the second and third, or at least the second trimester, that your energy comes back. So hopefully I'll have a little more room to exercise and get back into my normal flow of things then. I really love strength training workouts. That's my favorite way to work out. And usually that means Apple Fitness Plus strength workouts or some of my own that I'm creating for potential things in the future. And yeah, and I'm also doing some yoga and stuff like that. I am taking my yoga teacher training right now, so I have a couple lessons that I need to finish on prenatal and postnatal yoga, so maybe that'll help me come up with some ideas to modify for my pregnancy. But that is kind of the gist of what I'm doing right now in trimester 1 with exercise. Oh, I almost skipped over this one. The last question is, can you do MMA while pregnant? It's not fighting MMA. MMA is my Mindful Muscles Academy, and this is my mindful eating nutrition program for fitness lovers. So if you are looking for a non-diet approach to fuel your fitness better without having to calorie count or macro count or obsess over all the numbers, then you're gonna love this program. So there's no reason why you can't do the program while you are pregnant. The great thing about the Mindful Muscles Academy is that it helps you build your own foundation for healthy habits, mindfulness, and fueling your fitness better, but you can cater it to whatever meets your needs. And within the program, we help you figure out what your needs are based on your goals and how you can follow through and meet your macros, again, without having to actually count and calculate every little thing meticulously. So it's really great for that. And if you are pregnant, the only thing that I would say is to adjust your calorie needs as needed. So typically, beginning in the second trimester, you're going to want to add at least 300 calories to your diet to keep up with the energy needs of your body and your little one that's growing inside of you. And the other bonus to the Mindful Muscles Academy is that one of the things that you get, one of the perks, is that you get Facebook community group access, which means you get access to all the members of the Mindful Muscles Academy, and you also get access to me. So you can type your questions, share your goals, share any concerns that you have, anything at all you can share within the group, and myself and or the community members will help you answer that question and give you more resources, information, or just support as needed. So it's really great. I highly encourage you to join. If you haven't already watched my free trainings, which I will leave below, you'll get $100 off the program if you watch the training. So that can be a good way to save a little money on the program if you are kind of on a budget. I know I am right now. So I hope that helps, and if you have any additional questions on Mindful Muscles Academy, let me know in the comment section below. All right, so some fun and exciting news on the channel. Thank you all so much for being a part of this channel and for supporting in any way that you support the channel, whether it's a comment, a like, a subscribe, sharing a video, being a member of one of my courses, or downloading any of my free trainings or free products. I really appreciate just being able to connect with you and being able to support you in your health and wellness journey. And if there's any way that I can support you better or any questions that you want me to cover in a future video, please, please, please let me know. That is how I make this channel better, and this is how I help you achieve your goals better, okay? So I love to have a conversation. I don't just like talking to myself on camera. In fact, I'm losing my voice as we speak, but I do love helping you. So again, thank you so much for being here, and I love you to the moon and back. And I will leave a video if you want to continue hanging out with me on the channel up here on the screen, so you can click or tap to head on over to the next video. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.